episode of DM Chatz.
Yeah, you got to miss how much he was gloating beforehand about how great that transition was going to be.
Yeah, I was like, gonna nail it. Peak athleticism coming.
Yep.
And I'm just sweating. Oh, God, hang on.
What did you do?
Nothing. I did everything's fine. Why does everyone always assume I did something? I don't understand why that's always the key man. Well, anyway, hi everybody. How's it going?
His exact words were peak athleticism.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
can we disagree on something? That it was not. Shut up. It was great.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're going to be talking about improv and the unexpected, and quite like, you know, the thematic to the topic. We got nothing. So.
We're just going to make this up.
Yeah.
These aren't notes. It just says blah, 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 make something up.
Is that on a napkin?
It's not a napkin.
Ah.
That's the same piece of note paper I've used for several of these. I've got all a bunch of... some of these make sense.
Look at this. Look what you got started. Dills, what did you do? What do you mean what I did? Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Hi, guys. Happy Monday.
Hello. I feel like in this format we have to have like an official intro, like introduce ourselves or something. It just feels too morning show.
Hello,
Evening
everybody,
show?
and welcome to DM Chatz. This is Improv and the Unexpected. I am your first host, Dylan Worth. With me, as always, is...
Oh, I have to, after that, I have to introduce myself.
Well, yeah. I didn't want to take it away, and I'm the only one talking. Casey McDonald.
Yeah.
Well, hey, yeah, so... Oh, but wait, there we go. Did
But
you wanna
first, the
wait-
weather. It's hot.
Yeah, it's hot. This just in. Can being struck by lightning help you lose weight? Tune in at 8 p.m. Alright, well, look at this. Everyone's already talking. Thank you, everybody, for our usuals popping in. Lovely to see you
Should
all.
get on
Thank
my
you so
phone.
much.
So I can actually see what the hell they're saying this
Oh,
time.
I was about to say, we can share as well. I've got this handy dandy.
No, you're good.
Here. Yeah?
No, yeah.
Sweet. Alright. Cheers then. There we go. Oh, there we go. Do you want a word from the audience to start you off? I think that works out. Thank you, Bedlam. Go ahead. A D&D appropriate word, and we're just going to go off of it.
Okay.
20-minute improv spree.
No.
We're going to do it.
No.
Thanks, Groundlings. The answer is yes. Death can help you lose weight. Yeah, that's true. You lose exactly, what, 23 grams? Isn't that the...
Something like that.
Something like
The weight of a soul
What's the
or something.
Sean Penn movie? Was it Sean Penn? 23 grams? 28 grams? 28 grams later?
I think that was Danny Boyle. No.
Well, anyway. So, everyone's favorite, I don't know, the most common fear, I think, of all DMs, aside
It is
from...
probably just gas escaping. That's correct.
That's pretty sure it's just...
Alright,
oh,
this is-
really? You have
wait.
23 grams of gas? I know for a fact. I know a few people that have far more than 23 grams of gas.
What is the weight of methane anyway?
The weight of methane? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Welcome to Science Chats.
Yep.
Well, anyway, so the topic for today, dear sir, is improv and the unexpected.
And
Sure.
getting distracted.
Indeed.
We are experts
Which
at.
is exactly what happens at your table. Players tend to get distracted, especially when on a quest. And they'll end up doing a whole bunch of things.
That segue was gorgeous.
Thank you very
I want to
much.
make love to that
There
segue.
you go. You see, it's improv. You set it up, and I smacked it out the park. And then we told everyone to look how great we did.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
that's
just
how
like
you
a
do it.
real baseball player.
Rule number 1 about improv: bring as much attention to yourself as possible.
Absolutely.
I have like 4 notes in here that says "Don't hog the spotlight."
And there we go. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I think it's a good point to say if your players are getting distracted from the sort of main quest,
No.
it may have something to do with how well you're doing setting the scene and having like other interesting NPCs. Because how many times have you been like? I mean, it's a common meme, right? The whole you're into a tavern, the crisp firewood is burning, and then there's a lone ranger in the corner. His hood is over his face and he smokes a pipe. And they're like, "Who else is in there?" Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
What's the goblin's name? Moblin, the goblin. It's like, cool, we're gonna go talk to Moblin, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, it very often happens. So first of all, take it as a compliment if you get derailed. You're
It's true.
clearly making an exciting environment. If they don't have anything to play with, they're just gonna go for the one shiny object.
That's true.
So
That is true.
exactly that.
You can be descriptively compelling about things, but players, regardless, are going to latch on to certain NPCs that you make up on the spot
Uh huh.
sometimes, and you can always take that as a compliment and an opportunity to always add something new to the repertoire.
Absolutely.
Make a note, remember that NPC and vaguely what voice that you had for them, and maybe bring them back later and they'll get excited.
Absolutely.
Bringing back an NPC that they haven't seen in 5 levels or something, it's always super exciting for them.
Yeah, because it's like, I remember that, and they kind of feel part of the world.
Unless they don't remember them, and then you're like, okay, never mind, not coming back again.
Yeah, I was about to say, clearly you guys didn't like that one.
I liked them more than they did. Interesting. Noted.
Oh, I love this quote.
What?
Plans are useless. Planning is essential.
That is good.
That's nicely
That is
done.
good.
That's nicely done. Well done.
Yeah, being prepared makes it where you don't have to improvise as much. Though even when you are prepared, there's an element of improvisation to it because you need to know what's going to work. Because it's not like they did the thing you thought they might do exactly as you expected, so you do still have to mix and match a little bit.
Absolutely.
What was the first thing you said? Because it was like one of the first things that I noted the players getting distracted by stuff around there. I thought you were going to go down the route of them being distracted, like at the table, not listening and stuff like that. Because when I initially was thinking, we were talking about doing improvisation, and I was thinking, are we doing this as from the point of view as a DM or even just in general role play?
I think we could hop between the two of them, right? I think it's fair. There's no rules.
Yeah, and I think a note that works for either, a note that works for either is listening as much as you can to what's going on. Because even as a DM, you get caught behind the screen sometimes and you're trying to prep or make notes for something or getting things ready. And may not be listening to what the players are doing and staying engaged into it as much as you can, because you're juggling several things as a DM. But staying engaged as much as you can helps you stay in that moment and see what are the players looking for, what are they really trying to find in this moment, things like that.
Correct. Even if it's superfluous, like they're just looking to roleplay and just kind of break away from. I don't know, because even like fictional responsibilities, it's still it does have a weight on you. So now and then they do tend to be like, you know what, let's just shopping day. That's a big one. Let's have a shopping day, or let's go grab a beer together. But we have a wonderful question over here that I would love for us to talk about before we go into our notes and such. And that's, what is the difference between improvising role-playing and improvising combat, and which one do you find harder?
Do we mean improvising combat as in setting up a combat that you were not prepared for?
I was about to say, I think maybe we go into this question with not like, because I mean, it's one of the topics we're going to go up to is like have certain combat encounters planned for travel, but most importantly, just plan it. Plan a town guard coming to see the mischief that's happening. Combat encounter just do it. And if they're new players, a way for them to kind of escape, because odds are they're kind of just exploring the freedom, not understanding the choice, but not to detract from the question. So I think we'll go into on the spot.
I would say, I don't know why I'm really thinking about this as hard. It's combat. That's I can't. Maybe for some people it's not so much, but combat has so many moving parts to it and complexities, and combat can shift the entire narrative of what's happening in the moment if you're not careful about it, or depending on what the players do. Because it could be they ran into some street thugs or something like that, but they ended up casting a fireball in the middle of the street. Well, that could have some effects. Did they hit anybody? Did they destroy any part of the town? Now suddenly they're wanted by the town guard, things like that. You wouldn't. It could have just been a rough and tumble. They get into a little bit of fight. Maybe you do the town guard thing. They break it up or whatever.
Slap on the wrist.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, go about your ways. Town guard already knew these guys were shitheads, so it's already pre-established that they're like, all right, we don't want any trouble in this town. Keep your noses clean from here on out. Easy. But when they accidentally blow up a storefront, then shit goes crazy. So sometimes combat can get a little out of hand. And I know as a new DM and a lot of DMs I've known, or people that wanted to try and get into it, their biggest fear, their biggest hurdle is trying to figure out combat.
Oh, for sure.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on. You're having to keep straight. Are the players playing their abilities correctly? Also, I have 9 monsters in here, so keep it simple. If you're having improv combat, don't go too complicated because you're improvising already.
Yeah.
Don't make it too hard on yourself. You had said we should think of moments where we had to improvise and do things like that.
Absolutely,
One of the first
yeah.
things I thought of was something like that,
Yeah.
that I actually did overcomplicate, but it ended up being a blast.
Great.
Quite literally. But before I relay that, because I feel like I'm taking over this part of the conversation, do you...
I mean, I have a huge problem when you talk, so...
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
of course not, man.
How do you agree? I can...
I would agree 100%.
I can give my
Because
anecdote
improvising
later.
I have the time of my life doing that, especially with you guys.
Fun. Yeah.
It's because I do love this topic because I've definitely grown attached to the type of players each one of you are, and so being able to roleplay, especially like getting used to like how chaotic Annalisa can be sometimes, or not chaotic, sporadic and excited. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like
sure.
I know what Bessie loves, and I know the type of roleplay Grace and I can get along with really great, and I know the things to feed you. Get in the hang with Emily. She's new, but she's loves the game so much it makes it pretty easy to give her something to be excited about.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff falling into it typically is really kind of fun. I do enjoy improvising like a chaotic scene of like you accidentally knocked or killed someone and now people are coming and now they have to like that kind of that's so much fun, that kind of tension. But when it comes to improvising combat, I don't know. I'm trying. There's nothing I can really say outside of like what you would say, like be easy on yourself and keep it nice and simple. A good example is say they do attract a whole bunch of town guards. You know, out of the town guards, there's a captain or a lieutenant or something. Maybe they're just a fucking beefcake, and the guards not surrounded everything else, but the captain's telling you, oh, it's like, all right, everyone stand down, I'll take care of this. And he walks in by himself, and everyone's like, okay. What, 5-on-1? How tough is this guy? And now you just got one badass. They're surrounded by the captain guards, and then you can move it forward after that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, but you did have a story that you wanted to share.
I did, yeah. And I've improvised a lot of combats. I do let me preface this with you should probably, I highly, highly recommend, like what you said, having a set of scenarios of things that could happen, a bank of things that you could go to. If they decide to do this, here's a quick scenario. You don't have to make it super detailed or anything, but they encounter this type of person or this group or this creature or whatever. We've been bringing up in-town stuff, but even out and about in the wild.
Oh, yeah.
Having tables that you roll on for different encounters, things like that you're at least casually enough acquainted with, so you're not having to just fly completely by the seat of your pants, because you have varying levels of knowledge about the different creatures and what good balanced encounters are like. And if it's an impromptu fight, don't worry about it being unbalanced in the player's favor, because they just something happens. It doesn't need to be the is one of us gonna die kind of combat. It can just be a fun combat. But I had, and this one I just kind of had to make up on the spot, and it comes with being familiar with your world and the world lore. And the town that they're in, that helped me improvise in the moment.
Sure.
So ahead of time, or before this, I had them coming back into town, and depending on what route they took and the speed and what they rolled and everything, they might have gotten an encounter, which they did. Actually, it was when they left the town. Sorry, my mistake.
Okay.
They encountered some bandits trying to take a toll. Classic D&D kind of thing.
Sure.
They went through this pathway, so these bad guys are taking a toll. But I did put some lore into it that they're part of a greater crime syndicate that is moving into that area within recent years.
Sure.
It pissed them off quite a bit. Specifically, one of the characters in the group was just like really bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
So when they came back into town again, just that night, he role-played, having a few drinks, getting really frustrated and saying, you know what, we're in town, we're already in good with these people, I'm going to go out and see if I can find these assholes running drugs through this damn city.
There we go.
I was not ready for this.
No.
It's the kind of thing you should be ready when you put something out there like Crime Syndicate moving into town, they have a base of operations somewhere.
Yeah.
They ask around,
They got
do
folks.
good persuasion rolls and perception rolls and things like that. So like, well, I'm not going to punish them by saying I wasn't prepared, so your perception roll gets nothing.
Sure.
You can do that because if you're not prepared, you don't need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, no, I can't do that. I have to give them something.
Sure.
So I had them find. They were working out of an abandoned cobbler shop.
Cute.
They found that these people were in there. They just decided to bust in the front door instead of,
Just
looking at what's going on.
look and see.
Guy
Nope.
was role playing, being a little inebriated, so he was like, you know what? I kicked down the door. Fuck it.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, okay, so they'd be in there. What are they running through the town? What is something unique to this town that they would want access to? And that town had black powder.
Well,
so
there we go.
when I believe the warlock cast a fireball into the back room, it blew up the entire interior of the building. Everybody inside had to make dexterity saving throws, and then after the combat did end, they helped the town guard put out the buildings next to it as well because it was starting to spread.
Well, of course it was.
But it became this whole thing, and I was like, okay, bandit stuff, they're part of this group. I have this other stat for these types of bandits.
Yeah.
And just kind of threw them into this moment. And just, because I was doing a, kind of pen and paper thing,
Sure.
It was a this by this room with another this by this room behind it.
Yeah.
Nothing too extravagant. But it ended up being a fun and intense combat because I was like, well, you can throw fireballs willy-nilly into rooms you don't know what's in there.
Sure.
But what if what's in there is combustible? Or they could have had hostages or some shit.
That's a good point.
But I went with black powder instead.
Hell yeah.
And it worked out nicely.
There we go.
They won. They took some heavy damage from the explosion, but
I would imagine so.
They handled the fight just fine.
Love it.
But yeah, it was an interesting little moment, and they got the satisfaction taking down some bad guys.
Absolutely.
One of them got away though.
There's always one that gets away.
Yeah, because you blew the guys up. One of them was like, "No, fuck this."
Yeah, I was
and
like,
ran
I'm not sticking around for this. No,
It was fun.
I do want to mention piggyback just off of something that you said there. Well, not piggyback. I want to garnish it.
Steal it. Go for it.
The idea of if you're not ready for something, just say it.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey guys, can I have take a pee break? Give me 10-15 minutes.
I'll work something out,
I just want to work this out. I wasn't entirely ready for it. I've got stuff. I just need to put it in place for you to be playable. That's something I trying very hard to put on myself.
Yeah.
I mean, having a show doesn't help at all. Even though we're recording, there are moments of I just want to be like, no, just go for the next one, to the next one, to the next one. I really do want to start taking the time to be kind of easy on myself because I put on to you did the same when you DM'd. You tell the players hey, if you need a sec, take it.
Yeah.
100%. It's you should definitely be willing
give
to
that to yourself as well.
Give it to yourself as well. You're scared of I'm going to destroy the emotion. You won't.
Being on both sides of it, I do know that the players are not going to be taken that much out of the moment by you saying, okay, give me a moment to take care of this real quick or figure this out. I was not ready for this, or I just need to figure this thing out. The players will be fine with that. And sometimes they'll even be depending on the scenario that they're in, maybe they continue role-playing for a little bit, depending on what's happening.
That's a good point.
I think you've done that for us before, and you're saying, hang on, figure this out, talk amongst yourselves, or what would you be talking to each other? And we'll do that. And then
very recently, because you guys were traveling with a lot of NPCs who had a lot of magic, and then there's a lot of side stories going on. So I was like, give me 2 secs. People are going to be doing stuff. Just give me a sec to sort it out. And of course, you guys just ended up having a delightful conversation.
Of course.
Yeah. So, that's a very good note.
Don't be too hard on yourself about that kind of stuff. Take it slow. There's no need to rush. I have, just like you said, so many times done that to myself where I'm like, no, I have to keep this moving, keep the energy up and all of that. It's not going to ruin it if you need to take a moment, open up your monster manual, Google some stuff.
Exactly.
I was definitely going to Bandit 5e. Okay, cool. Thug 5e or
That's
whatever.
why
yeah.
D&D Beyond.
Oh, it's great.
You just look up, put it in, run the encounter.
D&D Beyond, Roll20. There's tons.
Roll20 is also fantastic.
Yeah, there's several.
Yeah, it really
other
is.
ones that don't have .com, so they're probably not legit, and I won't name right now. Stuff like that.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves for a little while.
Yeah.
It does really work out. Yeah. A very good point just on that is I got great life advice from a friend once when it came to opening up emotionally. You're always there for your friends, but you never open up. It applies